A brand new fight video has just dropped, and it's turning the internet upside down. Fans are saying it shows Drake's people getting into it with Kendrick Lamar's crew in a shocking showdown. But here's the real kicker. This all goes down right after Kendrick storms into Drake's backyard performing his infamous diss track, Not Like Us, at one of the biggest venues in Toronto. You'd think it's just another concert, but this is way bigger. It's a full-on cultural earthquake, and the aftermath is spreading like wildfire. Toronto's divided, and fans are picking sides faster than you can blink. But what exactly went down that night, and why does this beef seem like it's crossing a line no one expected? Let's break it down.
Kendrick takes over Drake's turf. Picture this. Drake is the self-proclaimed king of Toronto. Every corner of the city's got his name on it, from the billboards to the radio stations. His music's practically the soundtrack of the whole town, and his fan base, loyal, to the point of fanaticism. But what happens when your rival shows up uninvited, steps into your kingdom, and drops a bombshell performance that leaves the whole city stunned? On June 12, 2025, Kendrick Lamar did just that. Kendrick pulled up to the Rogers Center, Drake's city, and performed Not Like Us, a track that's been ripping through rap's landscape like wildfire. Now, let me hit you with a fact you might not know. Drake has never performed a full tour show at this stadium. Let that sink in for a second. Drake, the king of Toronto, has never claimed this venue as his own, but Kendrick just waltzed right in and made it his. It wasn't just about performing in enemy territory. It was about claiming what Drake had never touched, and that's some next-level chess. And the crowd? They went crazy. We're talking about Drake's own fans, the very people who were supposed to be in his corner, screaming, shouting, and wait for it, singing every word of a song that was basically calling their hometown hero out. Imagine the shock on their faces as they cheered for a track that put Drake's character under a microscope and tore it apart. But this wasn't just a polite applause. No, this was a 2-minute standing ovation. Fans on their feet, screaming for Kendrick like he was the home team. And let's not forget, this wasn't a random crowd. These were die-hard Toronto heads, some of them probably rocking Drake's merch, maybe even sporting his tattoos, singing along to a diss track aimed right at him. Talk about a twist in the plot.
Section 2. The Not Like Us track. Now, you might be wondering, why was this track so damn impactful? Not Like Us wasn't just another diss track. This wasn't Kendrick casually throwing some barbs. Nah, this was a full-on character assassination. Kendrick didn't just attack Drake's skill or his flow. He went for the jugular, attacking Drake's authenticity, questioning his very place in the rap game, and most shockingly, calling out his entire persona. This wasn't a rap battle anymore. This was a statement. The track hit harder than a sledgehammer because it wasn't just aimed at Drake. It was aimed at his entire legacy. If you've been paying attention, you know that Not Like Us has been one of the most talked about tracks in hip-hop for the past year. It's the track that, according to many, destroyed Drake's reputation. But here's the twist. This was Kendrick performing that very track in Toronto, at a venue Drake himself has never conquered, and the crowd ate it up. Now, think about this for a second. The crowd? They weren't just tolerating Kendrick's diss track. They weren't sitting there confused or just nodding along politely. They were singing every word. Toronto fans, Drake's fans, were belting out lyrics that straight up insulted their own city's most famous son. How crazy is that? It's one thing to hear a diss track from a rival. It's another thing entirely to see your own people cheering for the guy tearing your hero apart. And what made it even wilder was that Kendrick didn't just perform Not Like Us as a one-off. The crowd was so into it, they demanded encores. Imagine that. Not only did they give Kendrick a standing ovation, but they wanted more. This wasn't just a performance, it was a cultural shift happening in real time. Fans who were supposed to be loyal to Drake were now rallying behind Kendrick, all while his diss track played out in front of them like it was the national anthem. The fight footage and tension. But as if the performance itself wasn't enough to set the internet on fire, things got even messier. Not long after the show, footage surfaced that many believe shows Drake's affiliates in a heated altercation with Kendrick's crew. What started as a small scuffle quickly turned into a full-blown fight, and fans online are speculating about what exactly went down. Now here's where it gets tricky. While the footage seems to show Drake's people clashing with Kendrick's, the real question is, who are they fighting? Some fans believe it's just a typical fan-on-fan altercation. But there's a twist. The incident wasn't just about two crews clashing. From what we can see, this fight was bigger than just a disagreement between fans. This was a statement, a physical manifestation of all the tension that had been building for years between Drake and Kendrick. But here's the wild part. Despite everything going down in front of the cameras, the whole thing was still oddly controlled. Security was heavy as hell, and the scene outside the Rogers Center remained relatively calm. No major chaos erupted, and yet there was this underlying tension hanging in the air like a storm waiting to break. Why? Because this beef between Drake and Kendrick has been bubbling for over a decade now, and it's no longer just about music. It's personal. The fight footage isn't just about people throwing hands. It's about the raw emotions that have been simmering under the surface for years, ever since Kendrick's iconic 2013 Control verse, where he first called out Drake, among others. That was the opening salvo in a war that had no clear winner. But now, after Kendrick's aggressive moves in Toronto and his continued dominance in the industry, it's clear that things are escalating. The fight may have been a flashpoint, but it's just a small piece of the larger puzzle. What's coming next in this battle? Well, if this incident is any indication, we are nowhere near the end. The history of the Drake-Kendrick beef. Now, if you think this drama just popped up overnight, you're dead wrong. This beef has been brewing for more than a decade, and it all started way back in 2013. You remember Kendrick's verse on Big Sean's Control, right? That verse shook the rap world when Kendrick called out Drake, J. Cole, and a bunch of other top-tier artists, declaring himself the best in the game. But what started as a competitive jab soon spiraled into something much deeper. Kendrick wasn't just playing around. He was calling for a challenge that Drake, in his own way, accepted. And over the years, the two have exchanged shots, both on wax and behind the scenes. But it wasn't until 2024 that the beef really went nuclear. That's when Kendrick dropped his verse on Future and Metro Boomin's Like That, where he boldly declared, "Forget the big three, it's just Big Me." That line? It was a direct shot at Drake and J. Cole, a clear statement that Kendrick wasn't interested in sharing the throne. He was done with the friendly competition and was now making his move for the crown, alone. But it didn't stop there. Kendrick dropped a series of diss tracks throughout 2024, including Not Like Us. And let's be clear, this wasn't just another diss. This was an all-out assault on Drake's character, hitting him where it hurts the most. Allegations about Drake's authenticity, his persona, his place in the rap game, they were all laid bare in this track. It wasn't just about music anymore. It was about who Drake really was beneath the surface. Fast forward to that infamous night in Toronto, and you're watching Kendrick not just perform a diss, but dominate Drake City in front of thousands of fans, many of whom were supposed to be loyal to the OVO King. And this wasn't a one-off moment. No, this was the culmination of years of back and forth. Every diss, every shot taken, it all led to this. The Vancouver incident and Rick Ross's role. Now, if you think the Toronto drama was the only thing heating up this beef, you'd be wrong again. Just months before Kendrick's game-changing performance in Drake's hometown, the tension spilled over in a major way at the Ignite Music Festival in Vancouver on June 30th, 2024. This time, the target wasn't Kendrick, it was Rick Ross. And let me tell you, this moment was straight up jaw-dropping. Rick Ross, known for his larger-than-life persona and his strategic moves, had already thrown his weight behind Kendrick Lamar.
Back in April 2024, Ross dropped the track Champagne Moments, where he aimed direct shots at Drake, accusing him of everything from getting plastic surgery to questioning his street credibility. This was a move that wasn't just about music, it was a challenge to Drake's entire image. But Ross didn't stop there. At the Vancouver show, in Drake's home country no less, Ross made a bold, provocative decision. As the set wound down, Ross dropped Kendrick's Not Like Us, the diss track that had already caused a storm in the rap world. Now imagine the scene. You're in Vancouver, a city where Drake's influence runs deep, and Ross is about to close his show with a track that rips Drake's character to shreds. It wasn't just a musical choice, it was a direct act of defiance, an open challenge to Drake's reign. And of course, the crowd didn't take too kindly to that. A fight broke out almost immediately after the song started playing. The footage shows a fan running up to Ross and landing a punch right in his face, leading to chaos erupting in the crowd. But here's the thing, it wasn't random. The fight wasn't just about a drunk fan getting upset. No, this was premeditated, fueled by loyalty to Drake. And while the altercation was going down, social media was on fire. One user even captured the moment, noting that it all kicked off when someone yelled, "Turn that off! Wanna bang out?" In that instant, it wasn't just a fight over a song. It was about defending the loyalty to Drake, about showing that some fans were willing to take the beef into the streets, all because of one diss track.
Drake's social media moves and backlash. Now, if you thought the beef was just confined to the stage, think again. The real kicker came when Drake started using his social media to pour gasoline on the fire. The beef had already reached insane levels, but Drake's online moves sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world, with fans and critics alike reacting to every post and comment. First, there was the moment when Drake liked an Instagram post about the attack on Rick Ross in Vancouver. This wasn't just a passive move. By liking that post, Drake essentially co-signed the violence against his opponent. He didn't just watch the drama unfold, he was actively encouraging it. The post included a warning to anyone thinking of stepping into Drake's territory. Don't come to Canada if you've got issues with Drake. Now that was bold. Drake wasn't just letting his fans take matters into their own hands, he was actively fueling the fire. But the story didn't end there. On Canada Day, just a few days after the incident, Drake posted a story celebrating the day with a smirk and a cheeky comment, "Happy Canada Day." To the public eye, it looked like he was laughing at the fact that Rick Ross had been attacked for playing Kendrick's diss track. Fans weren't stupid, they saw what was happening. The implication was clear. Drake was celebrating the fact that his supporters had defended his honor through physical confrontation. The timing of all this wasn't a coincidence. Drake's social media moves were a calculated message to his fans, to Kendrick, and to the world. This was his territory, and he would do whatever it took to defend it. But here's the twist. Not everyone was backing Drake's approach. Some fans and artists started to question his actions. Was he encouraging violence? Was this really the best way to handle the beef? As Drake continued to post about the incident, it became clear that the narrative was shifting. People weren't just talking about the beef anymore, they were talking about the responsibility that comes with being an influential artist and whether Drake was setting the right example for his fans. Drake's social media strategy might have been bold, but it was also risky. By publicly laughing off Ross's attack, he inadvertently gave even more attention to Kendrick, giving him more fuel to claim the moral high ground. It was the ultimate psychological warfare. The more Drake tried to assert his dominance, the more it seemed like he was pushing Kendrick's star even higher.
Kendrick's growing influence and industry power. If you thought this beef was all about rap bars and street fights, you're missing the bigger picture. While Drake was busy using his social media to stoke the flames, Kendrick was quietly positioning himself as the true power player in the industry. His momentum was undeniable, and each move he made only seemed to amplify his cultural dominance, leaving Drake scrambling to keep up. Let's talk about Kendrick's Grammy sweep in 2025. Winning 5 Grammys, including Record of the Year and Song of the Year for Not Like Us, Kendrick made history. But this wasn't just about the music, it was a statement. His win sent shockwaves through the industry, and the message was loud and clear. Kendrick wasn't just another rapper, he was the new face of hip-hop, the one who was taking the crown from those who had been sitting comfortably at the top. And here's where things get even more interesting. While Kendrick was cleaning up at the Grammys, Drake's legal battles were backfiring in the most public way. In 2024, Drake filed multiple lawsuits against Universal Music Group, accusing them of artificially inflating streams for Kendrick's Not Like Us and defamation. But instead of playing out in Drake's favor, the lawsuits only drew more attention to Kendrick's success and made Drake appear petty. It was a losing battle. And as much as Drake tried to discredit Kendrick's rise, the industry was backing Kendrick more and more. Kendrick's success wasn't just about winning awards, it was about the cultural shift he was leading. His music wasn't just changing the game, it was becoming a movement. The very fact that Kendrick performed Not Like Us in Toronto and the crowd sang along only reinforced that he was winning hearts and minds in a way Drake couldn't touch. Kendrick was no longer just a challenger, he was the reigning champion, and the industry was starting to treat him that way. This wasn't just about Drake versus Kendrick, it was about the shift in who was going to represent the culture moving forward. Kendrick was showing that he was more than capable of holding his own in the industry's toughest battles, whether it was on stage, in the courtroom, or in the streets.
Conclusion. So, where does all of this leave us? Well, if you've been paying attention, it's clear this beef is far from over. What started as a war of words has now become a battle for control of hip-hop culture itself, with Kendrick Lamar claiming the crown while Drake scrambles to maintain his grip on power. This isn't just about music anymore. It's about legacy, loyalty, and who gets to define the future of the rap game. The fact that Kendrick pulled off that performance in Toronto in front of Drake's own fans and had them singing his diss track like a national anthem, that's next level. He didn't just perform, he took over. And as Kendrick's influence grows, whether it's through his Grammy wins, his cultural dominance, or his ability to turn every moment into a power move, it's clear he's in the driver's seat and Drake is struggling to keep up. But this fight isn't just between two rappers. This is about the entire industry picking sides, with artists, fans, and execs all choosing who they stand behind. And right now, it's clear Kendrick has the upper hand. With each diss track, each performance, each calculated move, he's proving that he's more than just a rapper. He's a movement. So, where does this story go next? Well, one thing's for sure, the streets are still watching. And the war between these two isn't just going to fade away. We're witnessing something historic in real time. If you've enjoyed following the twists and turns of this saga, make sure to check out more videos on the channel. There's a lot more to come, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.